and welcome back to another video. I'm Shah and this is Thoroughly Enjoyed Books. Today I am bringing you another TBR. Now TBRs are something that I used to do so rarely on my channel, but over the last few months I found I really enjoyed doing them. They're becoming a regular thing. I've really enjoyed having kind of themed TBRs. So last month I did a Halloween TBR. A couple of months ago I did one themed around kind of epic reads and books I wanted to buddy read. So this month is non-fiction. As you're aware, probably if you've been on BookTube for a while, November is considered to be like non-fiction November. It started by the Book Olive several years ago and it's quite the event on BookTube. So I've decided this year I want to take part in that. I've gone through my bookshelves and picked out all, I think, of the non-fiction books on my shelves. There's not a lot. I feel like I had a lot more, but I clearly don't. And I'm just going to talk to you about them. I'm probably not going to read all 6 of them. I am going to try and read 3 of them. Therefore, I'm going to talk about the 3 that I'm most excited to get to first. And then I will talk to you about the other 3 that I'll get to if I have a chance. And maybe explain to you why I don't think they are my priorities right now. This little stash here is the 3 that I think I will get to that I'm going to prioritise for November. First is The Guilty Feminist by Deborah Frances White. I was sent this by my friend Hannah a few months ago now, and this is about the guilt of some feminists. It talks about intersectionality, how often that has been left off the table in feminism, how sometimes feminists still, comply with patriarchal ideas, etc., and how we are not perfect. Nothing about feminism is perfect. There's something that we can always improve upon. The suffragette movement, for example, was a very white-centric, wealthy movement. So feminism hasn't always been inclusive. It hasn't always covered different races, different sexualities, different genders. It can be quite exclusionary. This book looks at where we might be guilty of those things and how we can improve upon them. But I haven't looked too much about what this book is about, because I feel like with feminist non-fiction it is often best to go in not knowing a lot, because if you don't really know what a book is about you can't do the other research before reading it, and so this would be the first time that I might experience some of these ideas, or it might just be something that I already know and I don't learn a lot from it. That is the thing you get with feminism, because sometimes it is just rehashed old stuff. The problem I have with this book going into it, before knowing anything else about it, is I'm pretty sure that Deborah Frances White is a white woman, and therefore I still feel there'll be gaps in this book, particularly when it comes to racial feminism. So I'm not expecting it to be perfect, but I am intrigued. Then I have I Am C-3PO, The Inside Story by Anthony Daniels. This is wholly my personal hobby interests. I love Star Wars, as I'm sure most of you already know. I have Princess Leia tattooed on me. I grew up in a sci-fi family. I met my boyfriend at a screening of Star Wars. Like, there's so much Star Wars in my life that it's super duper important to me. I love it. I found this book in a charity shop when I went on holiday earlier this year, and I'm fascinated by it. I want to read all about Anthony Daniels' experience. I want to hear stories about the cast. I want to know about his relationship with them. Did he actually get to spend any time with them? So does he know any of them? Or did he just spend all of his time in a suit? And the suit looks really uncomfortable. So I'm really fascinated by this book. I cannot wait to read it, and I think it is one that when I sit down to read I will fly through, because like I said, I'm so interested in this on a complete enthusiastic level. I don't think I'm going to learn anything groundbreaking with this book, but I might just have a bit of a giggle, and I think it will make nerd me happy. And then the last one that I really do want to get to in November is Unfollowing by Megan Phelps Roper, which I've talked about so many times on my channel and I've just never got around to reading it. It is in my autumn TBR, which I haven't touched, by the way, so I want to get to this one so soon. This is about Megan Phelps Roper, who was born into the Westboro Baptist Church, and the Westboro Baptist Church is pretty much just her family. But they're very loud, they make a lot of noise and a lot of nuisance. You've probably heard about them because Louis Theroux did a documentary on them years ago now. Megan actually left the Westboro Baptist Church because of Twitter. She had a lot of conversations with people on Twitter. She had her mind changed. She met her now husband on Twitter and they had very opposing views. And it is about her experience being open to that, but also how her family are still important to her. And I think this will be a really intriguing read, one that I very much want to get to. I'm fascinated by the Westboro Baptist Church because they're so anti-LGBT, they're so anti-army, and they just, like I said, cause a public nuisance. But they seem kind of cultish, and I just think it's fascinating. So I very much want to read this and, you know, understand where they come from and how this impacted on Megan growing up. Again, another short one, so easy to get to. So these are the three, like I said, that I definitely want to get to. They're all very short, so that shouldn't be a problem for me. Now I will get on to three that I have that I want to read at some point, but for whatever reason have pushed aside, and I'll explain why. As you can see, they are a bit chunkier. First one is It's Not Okay to Feel Blue and Other Lies. This is a collection of essays curated by Scarlett Curtis, and it features essays from the likes of Adam Kay, Charlie McCasey, Davina McCall, Elizabeth Day, Grace Beverley, Jessie Cave, Lena Dunham, Matt Haig, Naomi Campbell, Reggie Yates. So many famous names who have contributed to this with a short essay about their experience with mental health. And I bought this book last year, I pre-ordered it, I got it around October, whenever it was published, and I read the first 100 pages and loved it. But during that time I was in a very deep depressive episode, and so it was quite heavy reading on top of it already being heavy reading, and it's hefty. So what I wanted to do with this book was just dip in and out of it every now and then, which I haven't done. I've tabbed some essays that really spoke to me, and you know, this book is going to mean a lot to me. I just want to make sure that when I read it I'm in a good place, and I'm not sure if this November is going to be a time when I am in a good place, because like I said, mental health is cyclical. I have bipolar disorder, and this time of year is hard anyway. Add coronavirus on top of that. I don't know if I'm ready, so I might dip in and out. I'm not 100% sure. Then we have A Bit of a Stretch by Chris Atkins. Now, this is a book that I was so interested in when I heard about it that I pre-ordered it immediately and it arrived. And then when I started reading it, I was instantly put off. This is advertised as the diary of a prisoner, and I am fascinated by prisoner experiences, and I love to read more books about the prisoner experience. However, it quickly became apparent that this was a wealthy white guy who had committed fraud, and he fell from grace, and he felt very hard done by being in prison. But I feel like I'm not interested in that because I don't feel like he had any sympathy for people before he went to prison himself. Therefore, why do I want to know his pity party story? Does that make sense? What I'm more interested in is the impoverished people in prison, females in prison, people of colour in prison, people in poverty who have gone to prison through no fault of their own. This is just the life that they were born into. I'm so interested in learning about things like that. So the fact that this is about a wealthy white guy who has defrauded people, I do not care about him. I probably will still read this at some point, but it is not at the top of my priorities, and my main interest is women in prisons. So if you know any books similar to this about women in prison, please do let me know. And then the last one, I have no reason why I haven't read it. I just haven't got around to it in the 5 years that I've had it. It's actually been 6 years because I got this when I worked at Waterstones, and it is Amanda Palmer's The Art of Asking, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Let People Help. This sounds fascinating because I have a hard time accepting help and asking for help. I kind of think if I do it myself, I have to prove myself, and if I do it myself, I am proving that I can do things, and that asking for help is weak, which isn't the case. So I read the first, I think, chapter of this back in 2014 when I first picked it up. It's about asking for a tampon, and ever since I'd read that, I carry tampons in my bag for anyone else who needs them because I use a Moon Cup, and that is something I learned 6 years ago. However, I didn't continue with this book, and I don't know why, and ever since I've just never picked it up. It's featured on my channel loads, it's been in so many TBRs, it's been on so many year TBRs that I do at the start of the year where I say these are the 10 books I want to read this year, and I never get to it for no reason. So it is one I very, very much want to get to because I think this will have a huge impact on me. Like I said, it made me carry tampons around for other people. I don't like the fact that I buy books and then read some of it and then put it back on my shelf for years when I know it'll have such an influential impact on me. That's the way it goes. Here are the 6 non-fiction books that I plan on reading for non-fiction November. Do let me know if you have read any of these books, and if you have, what did you think of them? Because hopefully I will get around to all of them at some point. 3 of them are definitely ones I want to get to imminently. I just hope that my reading mojo kicks back in for the month of November and I can finish the year on a high. I also want to note that I've seen a lot of people having anti-racist books in their hauls, and maybe mine looks a little bit white compared to that. I do plan on reading some anti-racism books as well, so if you have any recommendations, do leave them down below. I know there's videos everywhere, so I will probably try and get some ebooks and audiobooks and things like that. These are just the ones that I did have on my shelf, and that is why I have mentioned them. As usual, I will leave links in my description to my Twitter, my Goodreads and all that fun stuff. Come on, follow me on all them and talk to me about books, and I can't wait to see you in another video very, very soon. Take care. Bye.